Welcome to another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. This podcast educates, ignites inspiration, fosters encouragement, and paves the way for growth among small businesses and the overall Oak Cliff community. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dallas Zoo, Home Care Network, Breakfast Brothers, and Serve Pro. Thank you for your support. Today's episode is titled Ready Day One, Community, Equity, and Action with Erik Wilson. Erik, with a K, Wilson, is a dedicated public servant, community advocate, and experienced professional with a career spanning over 20 years across education, real estate, and local government. He is a proud graduate of Dallas ISD. Erik has served 12 years as a high school teacher before transitioning into real estate, where he has helped countless families achieve home ownership. He previously served on the Dallas City Council, representing District 8, and is currently running for the open seat to continue delivering results for this community. Erik is also the founder of the Odd Challenge Project and several local initiatives, including youth development, small business support, and neighborhood revitalization programs. His leadership style is rooted in accessibility, equity, and collaboration. Okay, so welcome, Mr. Wilson. How are you today?
I am wonderful. First of all, thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here on Strictly Business Unscripted. This is the Chamber's pretty new podcast, and so we wanted to make sure we heard from both of our candidates for this District 8 race. But before we get into all the things, I have a few questions for you. Okay, we ask everybody these same couple of questions, so you're not exempt, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Take a deep breath.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Strictly Business Unscripted.
All right.
So you get some questions. Number one.
Okay.
Who are you?
That's a really good question. I am a father. I'm a husband. I'm a community activist. I am an individual who cares deeply for the individuals in my life. I try to be as honest as I can, an open book. I try to be real. I am an advocate for my people, African Americans. I am that person that who can be friends with those that may not necessarily be friends. I'm not one who moves around in cliques. I believe in giving a person a chance until they show me who they are. So I give everyone the benefit of the doubt until you prove me that I need to treat you a certain way or handle you a certain way. So I try to be that individual. I'm open-minded. I am independent in my thoughts. So I love to do research, just naturally curious. So.
That's a sign of intellect, just being naturally curious. You know, I learned that early on with my daughter because she is so inquisitive. She asked me about everything, and it used to annoy me.
Yeah, I can see that.
It used to annoy me. But after I learned, that is just a sign of intelligence. So, Mom, just answer the questions and keep it moving.
Just answer the questions. I have 3 boys that ask a whole bunch of questions. Yes.
Just answer the questions and keep on moving. So, what are some things? Now, we've read your bio. We know you're very accomplished and you're all about community. And, of course, from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, we absolutely love that. But in your downtime, what do you enjoy doing?
I think the older I get, I think I'm going to say the old man quality.
I can relate.
I just enjoy peace. Sometimes I just want to come and just sit down and just be in a quiet space and just be with my thoughts. And usually it's nothing. It's just kind of just reflecting on what happened that day, what I have upcoming. But it's one of those things where then my mind begins to wander and I'll think about something, so I want to get the facts on it. So I go into research. So normally I like to spend my time researching and trying to get the facts on something that I have an interest in or something I heard, just to make sure that is correct.
So no bungee jumping, no
No, if I
rollerblading, no.
fishing, if I had to say fishing would be one, and going to the gun range.
Really?
Yes.
No, I would have never have thought that.
Well, I'm a licensed, I'm an LTC instructor.
Are you really?
Yes.
It is so interesting when I ask this question, all the things that I find out. Really?
Yes. So that's my first one, and then I'm learning to pick up golf. So
Okay, I can see that. But okay,
Yeah.
well that's really
different,
cool.
isn't it?
Yeah, very. I would have never have thought that. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so we're going to get into the thick of things.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. So why are you running?
Why am I running? Well, if I have to give you that and go back to the history of why am I running, it's a continuation of having come from or lived in different areas. I grew up in Dallas. I was born in Dallas. Spent a small time in East Texas, but came back to Dallas, and my parents moved around.
Okay.
So grew up, when I say poor, we were poor. It was, first of all, one of, I think, 25 kids. My dad was Rolling Stone. Yeah, so,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
on my dad's side. Not my mom, my dad's side.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just, when I talk to people, I always have to question, who's your daddy?
No, God.
You might be kin to me.
Maybe we should ask. We might be related.
Maybe we're related.
Brother and sister.
But grew up in a home where we moved around a lot and didn't have a lot. Like I say, by the time I got to high school, we had moved every year. I moved to a different grade. After coming to live in Dallas from the 6th grade, when my great grandmother passed, and moved back. 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, went to a different school. Stayed with my mother. We didn't have much. We were poor, and we used to have to wait till the neighbor across the street went to work at night to be able to get water because we didn't have running water. So we would. So my mom, her boyfriend, my sister, myself, we would have these 1-gallon jugs, 3 apiece. We'd go across the street, fill up the jugs, come back so we can flush the toilet, take wash-offs. We didn't take baths, and then be able to cook with.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was coming from that, and then then transition from there, and I went to go stay with my grandparents, and then I saw a different side of life. So from there, when I went off to college, went to UTA, got my bachelor's in finance, and then I got married. When I got married, we were in Grand Prairie, going to church in Oak Cliff, and so we were going to church at Friendship West. And a lot of times we were spending times over here, and it was like, why are we traveling so much back and forth? So we moved to Oak Cliff, where we live now, and so it was different. So from Garland to Arlington to Irving, I always had grocery stores, always had amenities, malls to go to, places to shop, entertainment. So when I came here, it was like, okay, so where's the grocery store? So where's the entertainment?
Right.
Why don't I have the same things that I had there? So the question was, who's responsible? One person said, you're a city councilman. So I said, okay, so that's what I want to be. Because having grown up in the area, having experienced things, I was like, well, why can't we have those things?
Right.
So that started me when I first initially ran, was to make a difference, if be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's what led me to do it. And so this right here is just a continuation of that. Started some great things. One dealing with Redbird, where we're at right now, and throughout the district. So made some great friends and connections. So want to just continue to give back. And at the end, ultimately at the end, when it's all said and done, I'll tell the story that, you have a birth date and you have the death date, but it's what you do in between that dash. And I just want my dash to say that I made a difference. I moved the needle. So.
Well, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That dash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you mentioned East Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from?
Like I said, born in Dallas, but grew up in East Texas, small town called Atlanta, Texas.
Oh, I haven't heard of that. I'm from Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville? Did I hear Jacksonville? You're kind of south, right? Is that kind of south?
So we're about, on 69, we're about 10 to 15 minutes south of Tyler.
Yeah. Atlanta is closer to Texarkana. About 30 minutes, 30 miles outside of Texarkana.
We might be related. My
Hey.
people are from Texarkana.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll talk about that offline.
Home of the Piney Woods.
My mama is in Texarkana right now, so we'll have to talk about that. Okay, brother. Okay, so that is the best reason, in my personal opinion, to want to run for a council seat, because you want to be the change, and we need that. And I can see in your story where being inquisitive has played a huge role in your desire to be that change. Let's talk about the journey. So some of the things that you were able to start and complete while you were on council before. Let's talk about some of those things. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine. One of the I would say the biggest thing that I was able to accomplish is, like I said, dealing with Redbird. And for those of you who travel down I-20, I do apologize for the last couple of years. But it was necessary. The entrance and exit ramps on and into Redbird Mall off of I-20, I was able to have that put into the Gateway Project, Southern Gateway Project, and it was done in an effort to be able to save Redbird Mall. At that time, Redbird Mall was a mall that was in trouble. It was known as one of the most dangerous malls in the city, but it needed to change. Peter Brodsky had just bought it and was trying to make it successful. But one of the reasons people weren't coming to the mall was because they couldn't get to it. There was only one access, one good way to get there. So I was able to work with TxDOT and the Council of Governments to be able to get that access road northbound. It was actually, the first one was northbound 67. Got that one, and that started the whole process of where they are interested in saving the mall. So, and then worked on getting exits off of east and westbound I-20, and they're just open and probably 2 months old. So that started back in 2015, 2016, and we just now finished in 2025. Now, originally there were some discussions about this at the time, but for whatever reason, it wasn't scheduled to have any discussion until 2030. So I was able to move that time frame up and get that accomplished in order to save the mall. And part of saving the mall dealt with the crime. So during that time period, we created what is called the Resource Outlet Center. That was a collaboration between Southeast and South Central, and it was officers that were dedicated to be able to work this area within the mall. And we reduced crime in the area by 12%. And it wasn't because we arrested individuals. It's because we did 21st policing. In other words, we got individuals' licenses, social security cards, resumes. We checked on them and their moms and made sure everybody was okay. We got them resources so that they could be productive citizens, and it made a big difference in the community.
Right. That's huge. And, there was a time as a Chamber of Commerce that I don't know that my board would have approved us to come to Redbird. And so, but now we sit here.
And yes.
Now the Chamber of Commerce. Somebody asked me yesterday at one of our board members meetings, said, Keandra, has there ever been a Chamber of Commerce in District 8? And I said, I don't believe there has been.
To my knowledge, no. I've always known them to be outside, and North Oak Cliff was the closest one, in downtown. Yeah.
So we are sitting.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. We are pleased to be in District 8.
Thank you. Well, we have a great opportunity here. Like I said, from Redbird Mall to, like I said, part of the initiatives that I started was let's talk trash. And it was a real trash talk with the city of Dallas. During that time period, we had a lot of chronic dumping sites. Particularly in southern Dallas, particularly in District 8. We had 75 chronic sites. Within a year's time, we were able to cut that in half. Cleburne Raleigh was an area that had a bunch of drug areas, dumping. We worked with the local Southeast station and the residents to be able to help clean that up and to reduce crime in that area and to address those dumping. And then we have the Tea Gardens areas and Dottie Ferry, which was still to this day. But during that time period, it was very widely known for not only dumping trash, but it was also a crime area where, unsavory things happen. So we were able to install cameras and started to clean that area up. Until we still have cameras to this day, so just let you know, still cameras there. If you know somebody, just let them know they're probably on camera when they go there and do what they do. So
Good.
yes,
We need to let everybody know you are being watched.
you are being watched.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Let's take a step back for just a second.
Okay.
So you have done several things in your career, one of which was being an educator.
Yes.
How has being an educator, how has that helped in your political career?
Well, I would say, adults used to be children at one time. And so their personalities and the way they behave are pretty much the same.
Right.
Yeah, the behavior is the same. So a lot of it's predictable. So you have to learn how to explain things and have patience and really listen to what people are saying and oftentimes what people are not saying.
That's right.
So you have to diffuse a lot of situations and really just work with individuals, identify where their shortcomings are, and then give them resources to be able to promote that, but allow them to be able to do it on themselves, to be able to have that strength and that courage to know that what they're thinking, what they thought was either correct or if it wasn't, but you don't bash them to say you were wrong in this, but let's think about this a different way,
Right.
or what else did you not see, or what did you see that can maybe have a different outcome.
It's interesting that you said that. So I am an advocate for therapy.
Oh.
I will forever, probably for the rest of my life, I say that all the time, someone that I will forever pay as a therapist.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we talk about all the time is our inner child, and if that inner child is healed or not.
Oh, yes.
And so when you said that, it triggered some thoughts that my therapist, who is probably underpaid, by the way,
Okay.
who is way underpaid, talks to me about. And so in considering my inner child and the lack thereof of healing, we also have to consider the possibility that we have to speak to someone else's unhealed inner child.
Yes.
And so I think that's essentially what's being said here, is that has helped you tremendously in your political career. So kudos to you.
It has. And, to this day, my wife will tell me that I missed my calling. And she'll say that you should have been a counselor.
Well, it's not too late.
Well, it's not too late. Yeah, I look at it because she says that, I listen to individuals, sometimes too much, but I will listen to it because I want to help the individual.
Yeah.
Even as a youth, I always ask, why did I have so many of my peers that would come to me, that would confide in me about stuff, and I was like, okay, I really don't want to know that. Don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
But let me give you what I know and try to help you with it. And oftentimes they will say, well, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. And you gave me some insightful information. But, I think I would have to give that back to my great-grandparents and being around them. And the idea that, them telling me, son, you don't always have to do what you're doing. You don't have to make the mistakes others. You can watch other people and see what mistakes they made and learn from that. And just the guidance and the wisdom that sitting at the feet of individuals who were 80, 90, just pouring wisdom into me and telling me, okay, so don't do this, do this. Be mindful of this. So I was doing that as a youngin'. Instead of being out playing, I was underneath just learning wisdom. So I think that helped too, and just trying to, because I never wanted to, I didn't like getting in trouble. For me, getting a whooping was like, that was against my religion. I didn't believe in that. I hated that. I tried to do my best to avoid that. But it was one of the things that kept me honest and made me think about what I was doing. Just, don't react, but think about it before you act.
That's a huge advantage that you have, is being able to sit at the feet of those that are wise. And I think that being able to do that encourages skill sets like active listening. That's a skill set.
That really is.
That's a skill set.
It really is.
And one in which I can see an effective councilman needing is to be able to listen to the voice of your constituents. And
Always.
so we appreciate that. And so in addition to being that counselor, we can see that's an invaluable skill set, being an elected official as well. So let's talk about moving on. I mean, so some of your journey has been being an educator. You've been in real estate. You've done so many different things, even from a community standpoint, which you've mentioned. Let's talk about what campaigning actually looks like, getting donations and knocking on doors, and what does that really truly look like for the average person that's watching and they're like, that's a cakewalk to get in that seat.
Gosh.
Talk to us about what is campaigning.
All right, so if I could say anything to a voter out there that has this perception about campaigning and that it is easy, it is not. It is not. It is nowhere near that. And I would challenge you to do so. And you can do something real simple. Run for your local precinct chair. Very little money, probably wouldn't cost you any, maybe more than $500. But here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to use your money. I want you to limit yourself and say that you're going to only take $20 donations. That's the highest you're going to take from people. And I want you to accumulate $500, and you got to go to different people to ask them to contribute a maximum of $20 to your campaign, so that you can just get literature out so people know that you're running for precinct chair. I don't want you to go where one is empty and you can be easily appointed. No, I want you to go through the process so you can see. Because those beautiful little signs you see out there on the road that people want to see, that costs money.
Yeah.
The big ones, that costs even more money. And then that literature that you receive in the mail, that costs money.
Right.
So the radio ads you hear, that costs money.
Right.
The only thing free is someone knocking on your door and the conversations that you have. So that I probably would say that's the most difficult part for most people, particularly if they're not in business, because most business people understand it. They want good government, and they understand that it takes once they find a good candidate, at someone that they can relate to, work with them, they often will contribute to make sure that person gets in office, because they want to have good government. Now, the citizens, on the other hand, it's a little different. Most individuals won't contribute to the campaign. Most people, average person will not contribute to the campaign, but they'll vote for you.
Okay.
So it makes it difficult as a candidate. So unless you're self-funding, then it's really a challenge. So, but to me, I would say the best part is actually door knocking, talking to constituents, hearing what their concerns are, whether they like you or not. Sometimes you can learn from either ones that reject you or have an issue. And you just want to explain to them how that process works, and to be engaged. And it's real fun to talk to the ones that are engaging, of course, but it's also, for me, it's also fun to talk to the ones that are not engaged, that don't have an interest in it, that just are cynical about it, but being able to talk to them and reason with them as to why it's important. Right. And to have them to understand that everything about you is political, whether you know it or not. From the water that you turned on, to the clothes you have on, to the air you breathe, to the TVs you watch, to the food you eat. Everything, somebody had to make a decision on that being where it is, and how much it is, and how it got there. So the roads you drive on, all that's political.
Yeah. That's good stuff. So, with that being said, how are you so effective with raising the money? And I just want to say to everybody, I don't envy any part of this process. I know that it's difficult.
Yes.
I've been in this seat for 18 and a half years, and there is nothing about this process that I envy. How are you successful at raising the money, getting people to vote for you? Talk to me about that.
Raising the money is about relationships.
Okay.
It's having a conversation, explaining what your vision is and how you can relate. And I think the biggest the biggest advantage for me is I like to connect dots. It goes back to the research. So you have an issue, and I understand that from a governmental standpoint, the idea is to be able to provide solutions. So identifying what your need is with the solution and figuring a way to bring those things together, those two together. So that helps with the fundraising piece of it and asking individuals to contribute. And it works too to have, I would like to say, a good personality. That's someone you feel that you can work with, someone who is intelligent, who you can reason with. Now, we know that there's all types of elected officials, and let me just say that there's a difference between, I believe, there's a difference between an elected official and a politician.
Okay. Talk to me.
So I like to consider myself an elected official, okay, which means that I'm elected by the people to do the will of the people. Okay. They elect me to represent them on their issues, to bring back resources to be able to help the community. Versus a politician, those individuals, Lord bless them, are the ones that will tell you anything and then tell you what you want to hear, tell you what you want to hear, tell you what you want to hear, and then decide, okay, which is going to be the best thing for me, and then go to that side. And then tell the other person, well, either you didn't do this, or either you didn't do this, or I had to do this. At the same time, but going in both sides' support, and really not standing on anything unless it's going to be really obvious on which side it is. I don't do that. I don't like that. That's
wonderful perspective.
Yeah. So to me, there's a big difference when you see.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've run into a couple of politicians.
A couple.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. But I will tell you, being in this role, I've learned to keep my mouth closed.
Yes. Hey, I understand it. I
just smiled and keep on going.
Yes. Well, see, that's one of the things that, in terms of in this position or running for this position, is I know that in our community we've often had individuals who I would say were politicians, individuals that in it for themselves, and I wanted to be different. I've seen what can happen to you in this role. This is not something that you play around with. Right. You're playing with people's lives. That's right. You're playing with money. That's right. That's not yours.
That's right.
And anytime you mix those two, things happen. So, and my goal is always to be able to, when I decided to run, I made a promise to God, my family, and my community that I would not embarrass them, that I would do the best for them. And in the event that I got to the point to where that this is not for me, then I'm going to move away. And some people will ask me, well, why don't you just, going to city council, why not larger, higher levels, higher devils? And there's only so much that, I can take in terms of keeping my character, and I'm not willing to sell my soul. Yeah. I can't be bought, not going to be bought. I'm not going to just sell out my people for anything.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you. We've seen it over and over again.
Yes.
So good. And I knew that was the position. I'm happy to hear you say that, but we knew that. Talk to me about what is a PAC? For all of us that don't know, what is a PAC?
All right. So how much time we have left?
We're going to get into the meat of things.
Yeah, okay. Let's get into the meat of things here.
Okay.
All right. PAC simply stands for Political Action Committee. So PACs so look at it this way. You have an individual who can contribute to a campaign or a cause, or donate to an individual or a cause. That's an individual donation. But PACs are groups of people, 2 or more, that they pool their money for a particular cause or candidate. And oftentimes those individuals that contribute to a PAC may do so because they don't want their name on a list, because oftentimes when you contribute, guess what happens? Candidates look through lists that give, and then they call them and say, hey, would you like to give to me? Sometimes individuals don't want that attention, or they figure that if they do contribute to a cause or a campaign, it may not necessarily be in the best light for that candidate or that cause. So they sometimes want to remain anonymous. This is just the truth of what a PAC is and how it's used and how people use it.
Okay. So are there limits when it comes to contributions from an individual, a business? And if so, what are those limits?
Okay. So I'll speak on municipal city council. There are limits. So individually, an individual can give up to $1,000 per race. So in other words, during what you would call a general election, like what we just had May 3rd, there would be a general election because we have a runoff. So now it's a runoff. So each election, an individual can give $1,000 per election. So general runoff, you can give another $1,000. That's the max.
Okay.
Businesses cannot give, but PACs can.
Okay.
So PACs can give in two different ways to a candidate. One way, they can give a maximum of $2,500. They can have as much conversation with the individual as they want to. They can go out to dinner. They can have fun. They can do whatever they want to do. And then the second way that a PAC can contribute to a candidate is what is called in-kind donation. That means that the PAC has decided that they're not going to have communication with the candidate or cause, that they're going to run their separate campaign. What I mean by run their separate campaign, they can do things like have people doing door knocking. They can make people have phone calls, send out literature, make signs, but they're all independent of the candidate.
Okay.
The candidate has no coordination of what they do. Okay. But what the candidate has to do is report that a PAC has done some work for you.
Okay.
It could be as little or as much as the PAC wants to do.
Okay.
But the candidate has to report it whether they accept it or not, and that's the key to it.
Okay.
So as a candidate, let's say in my case, let's jump on this elephant here.
Come on.
Let's jump on this elephant. There's this PAC called Revitalize Dallas.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There it is.
All right.
All right.
It's out there.
So Revitalize Dallas, to my understanding, has an interest in Airbnbs. And why is that important? It's because the city of Dallas has instituted a citywide ban on Airbnbs.
Okay.
That has been challenged. That has gone through the court system, through the county, and through the state, and the city has lost on both occasions. This most likely will be resolved at the Supreme Court level.
Okay.
So that's that. That's who I understand them to be in my research of them.
Okay.
So they approach all candidates during the general election. So just like candidates, every candidate receives a slew of questionnaires from all types of organizations, from tree huggers to whatever group you can think of that has an interest in city politics, whether it's librarians, bike riders, homeowner associations, this year Democratic Party, you had Republican Party, you have individuals dealing with homes, economic development. Everybody wants to know what the candidate is thinking. So you receive multiple questionnaires, generally about 10 questions. So they send out just like everybody else. I get them in. I don't know who they are. I fill it out, send it back. And then from there, each person or who does a questionnaire will decide how they're going to support the candidate. Oftentimes they're PACs, and they have the two choices. They can give them $2,500 or they can do in kind.
Okay.
This particular group, Revitalize Dallas, did an interview who they chose to do interviews with based upon the questionnaire set in. And in their interview, they asked me about Airbnbs in the city of Dallas. I was like, well, I don't agree with. I told them, and it was another PAC too. That's I forgot the name of the PAC. It's dealing with homes and community. I forgot the name of it, but it was two. They're like opposing PACs. I told them the same thing, that I don't agree with Airbnbs being in established neighborhoods. Okay. That I believe that they should be in commercial areas that are zoned hotel, motels. That's a great way of putting them. So that they're not in the middle of the community disturbing grandma. Nobody wants their grandmother disturbed by an Airbnb. But if they are in or have been established in already, then they should be regulated just like our rental properties. They should be on a list. We should have a governing body that's set up to be able to monitor their activities and go after the bad actors that have repeated offenses. And what I told them is that the fees should be enough to where that the city of Dallas should be able to hire 2 individuals to monitor those. Reason being is that takes money off of our budget. And we're using this system to be able to pay for itself because when I was on the council, that was one of the things I was big with. If we're going to come up with a program or we're going to develop or build a building, have it to have some type of revenue generating process to where that it offsets the budget. So this is a way that including the fines, but also the registration will be able to pay for their salaries.
Right.
So I told both of them the same things. Never heard anything back from them. Until one day I was in the community knocking on doors. I turned the corner, I saw an individual on his porch, and I walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Erik Wilson, running for Dallas City Council, District 8. He was like, "Oh," he said, "I already got your flyer." That's the look I gave him because I was
sorry.
like,
I speak with my face. I'm sorry.
I did the same thing because I was like, this is my first time being here. So how did you get that? And I said, hey, oh, great. I just wanted to, can I see what they gave to you? And it was totally different. And it was Revitalize Dallas. I did not know that they were doing that. Have not spoken to, again, did not speak to them. They did not tell me that they would support me. And they just did what they did.
Okay.
So I reported that, and then guess what? We got this story out now that I've received like 300, I think it's 300,000, 500,000, $500 million, but it's a lot of money that I'm supposed to have had. Money. Now, here's the difference. Remember I told you there's two things that PACs can give. They can give money or they can give in kind.
Okay.
The lie that's being told, and I say lie because they're telling grown folks lies, so you address grown folks as grown folks.
Okay.
The lies they're telling is that I received money. I have not received a dime from Revitalize Dallas, and I mean that because if I'm pretty much have been supporting this campaign out of my funds.
Okay.
And my credit cards will contest to that. They're asking me daily, "What are we doing here? What's going on? Do we need to talk?"
I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry.
So I can pretty much tell you that if I had as much money as they said that I have, you would see one of me on every quarter with a sign, and you would see a lot more. I promise you, if I had $300,000, my credit cards would not be looking at me sideways. So this lie about me being bought out, and also, let me couple this with Republican. Okay, we know that pretty much in a Democratic group, that the word Republican is a dirty word because of who's in office right now, and what's going on with that. I am not a Republican. I am not a Republican plant. Never have been. Been a Democrat since '92 when I registered to vote. And if that was the case, then the Democratic Party, Dallas County, hear me this, Dallas County Democratic Party graded me an A. The Dallas County Democratic Party graded me an A. So if I was a plant, do you think that they would have known that? They would have done their research. They would have asked around. They wouldn't have given me an A. Secondly, who I was endorsed by, Dr. Freddie Haynes, Pastor Freddie Haynes endorsed me. And the people who know Pastor Haynes, do you think that he would have supported and endorsed a Republican in this time period? So the two lies, just to disprove the two lies that they're telling, that my opposition is telling you. And like I told a group the other day, people will often, if you look at the campaigns and how they are competing against each other, I'm talking to you about issues. I'm talking to you about fixing sidewalks, streets, making sure code, we're dealing with homelessness. The other side is tearing down, besmirching my name. And one thing I will tell people, if I'm wrong, oh my God, I hate to be wrong, but if I'm wrong when I'm wrong, I have no problem with telling you, I'm sorry, I messed up, I made a correction, how can I fix it? But if I'm right, I'm going to fight you to your last breath. And this right here is me fighting you to my last breath and letting you know that the lies they're telling you are truly that. Now, I've already dispelled 3 of their lies. In one instance, I'm not a Republican. Pastor Haynes wouldn't support me, so that double downs on that. And then the lies about the money that I receive and how PACs work. So I wanted to explain how PACs work, because they're not telling you that the money that they're reporting, even in the morning news, was in-kind donations. In-kind donation. It's like it's not your tithes and offering, but if it's like an individual who you may see panhandling and you give them $1, you give them $5, you gave them a donation in kind, you gave them something, that's a donation. But if you went and bought them food, that would be like an in-kind donation. They didn't receive the money, but they got the benefit of what you spent.
Right.
So.
Understood. Okay. Man, I felt your passion over here. I just had to sit back a little bit. I got heated.
Well, I just, it hurts. It's more hurtful because it's a lie, and I have to try to chase a lie.
Yeah.
And it's hard to chase a lie, but it's more. It becomes personal. I would say out of this race, it's more of almost like a spiritual war. I'm not gonna say almost. It is a spiritual warfare.
Okay.
There is and I'll just go ahead and call names. Tanel Atkins. He for whatever reason sent out that letter saying that I was bought by the PACs and that I was the Republican. They even told people that my campaign was run by drug money. Yeah. And how I know is because during the general election, as people were going in, they were telling voters this, and their side has been told to say and do anything to get a vote. So my question to people, as you listen to this or you hear this, if they're willing to lie to you about the things that I told you that they lied about, then imagine what they're going to lie about if they were in power.
Okay.
So
that's the perfect segue. So if you were to secure this District 8 councilman seat, what are your 5 top priorities?
First 5 priorities is letting the community know from Redbird to Kleberg Raleigh that you have a representative that's going to listen to you, that's here for you. I'm not going to be just on one side of the district, that we're going to have activities for the whole district, and that Pleasant Grove and Kleberg Raleigh will have some extra attention that they normally don't, because those are 2 parts of the district that are often feel left out, and communicated that they're left out. You can look at how the lack of development in the area has been over these years. 3, we're going to work with our seniors, let them know about the resources that's available to them. I have a fondness for seniors and youth because those 2 areas that are often taken advantage of. And there's resources for that. And then we're dealing with our homelessness. How are we going to reduce homelessness? And we look at, I'm not going to say we're going to end homelessness. We will never end homelessness. But being realistic and trying to find ways to deal with that, because there's increasing homelessness population in District 8. And we know that with the World Cup coming, it's happened everywhere it's been. Mysteriously, the homeless has been swept away, moved out. It happens during Super Bowl, big events. How are we going to deal with that? And making sure that they're just not going to dump people in District 8 because we have a lot of vacant land and have to deal with those issues, and our constituents have that problem. And then 5th one is working with economic development and how we, and then I have to wrap that. Can I go more than 5? Because economic development, one of the things I'm real passionate about is entrepreneurship. And when I taught as a high school teacher, I was teaching entrepreneurship. And so I was able to bring here to Redbird the deck, because during the time period I was campaigning, I was knocking on doors, running to people who wants to start a job, and it was like, well, I want to start a business. I was like, well, the city of Dallas has a entrepreneurship center. Why don't you go down there and get the resources there? They was like, where? I said, it's downtown. It's at the downtown library. It's like, I'm not going there. I said, okay. I said, but okay, so what if I brought it to you and made it more accessible to you? Would you go? They were like, where? I said, if I brought it to your library, would you go to the library? Yeah, I go to the library. Around the corner? Yeah, I go there. So when I got in office, I decentralized the entrepreneurship center and put it in every library. So there was a small piece of branch in every library that individuals didn't have to come downtown. They can go to the library, local library. So with that, and then the deck heard about it, Dallas Entrepreneurship Center, by the way, what that means, heard about it, and they were like, well, how can we be involved in it? And so that's how they came to Redbird. But they also started a couple of chapters at Paul Quinn College and UNT Dallas, because I believe that in that process, having been a teacher, for young people to understand that you don't have to wait to be an old man like me to start a business, that you can start a business at 15, 16, 17 years old, that you don't have to, because I always taught that not everybody should go to college, not everybody should go to the military, not everybody should work on a job. Right. Some of you all need to start your own business. Yeah, that's right. And you have the talent, the skills, and the resources that are out there for you to be successful. So that's how I got started. So you mix that with housing, how we develop, because I believe that in District 8, you should be able to start off with your apartment and you should be able to end when your kids have gone. You want to be an empty nester. You want to downsize. You just want to live as a senior. That you should be able to do that in District 8.
That's right.
I don't want you leaving the city of Dallas, because as you progress through your career, you should be able to move within District 8 because we have that diversity in housing option.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, well, before we conclude, what would you like, especially the District 8 residents, to know about Erik with a K. Wilson?
Oh, well, one, you have, I think, I don't know how many times, whether you read the newspaper or not. Dallas Morning News said it best: independent thinker, thoughtful individual. I'm my own man, so that's going to stop me from being supported by certain individuals. I'm not going to kiss a ring. That's not going to happen. I don't kiss rings. I don't believe in that. I would just rather work to get it. If I get it, great. If the powers that be do what they do, they do what they do. But I'm not going to kiss any rings. Yeah. You're not going to buy me out. Yeah. I'm not going to sell out. I don't look good in orange. I really don't. I have a beautiful wife and kids. I want to go home to. Yes. So I have integrity when it comes to that. So you have someone who has your best interest at heart, who's trying to do what I can for the community. Yeah. Only thing I want to do is make a difference, and that I want your life. I want you to be able to come home, work, live, and play in a safe environment. I want us to work together. I want us to be able to resolve issues, and it's not about me. It's about us. Yeah. I want us to be successful, because if you're successful, I'm successful. Yes. I can't be successful unless you're successful. So we're in this together. So we all have the same problems. So why not work together? Why not work with somebody who understands, who has access to the resources that you need to make your life better and to make your community better, so that you will want to live and work and play here.
Right. So. Right. Well, that's awesome. That is an amazing perspective. I love the integrity that you have. I've worked with you in the past. I'm grateful that you're running for this seat. The Oak Cliff Chamber of Commerce, as we've mentioned before, is right here in District 8.
Yes, welcome again. I hope you're here for a long, long time.
We're going to be here for a while. Peter ain't getting rid of us.
Oh, okay, good.
We're good. We're here. We're here. And plus, I hate to move.
So, well, yeah. I hate moving too.
I hate it. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. And so thank you all for watching today, another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted, and we will see you next time. I'm your host, Keandra Jones, and again, thank you for watching another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We'll see you next time.